With breathtaking speed, the cheetahs grace the Mara region of Africa, an area of protected wild land. Cheetahs are beautiful and intelligent hunters that help create a balance in the ecosystem. But environmental changes, some brought about by man, put these big cats at risk.
So cheetahs need vast areas, larger areas than lions and leopards because they roam so widely. They can move anywhere they want.
One of the highlights of our time filming cheetahs in the Mara was spending time with the Coalition, a group of 5 male cheetahs who were named the 5 Cheetah Boys. They were able to dominate a huge territory.
It's just incredible the distances these cheetahs are covering.
The trouble is keeping up with them. They just eat up the plains. And the only thing that deviates their movement is when they spot a tree, somewhere where they can leave a scent message. Every cheetah will go and smell a scent post, because then you can tell who was here before. And this marking is all about proclaiming your right to an area, because power is in numbers.
What I like about cheetahs, this cat is never relaxed. Cheetah is awake. The head is like that and is always looking. All the time, just searching and looking. This cat is the most alert cat in Africa.
The changing environment in the Mara region and large numbers of lions and hyenas has led to a decline in the cheetah population. While these magnificent creatures continue to journey on, today there are only 32 cheetahs in the reserve and immediate surrounds, which is now more open plains than bush.
We did an analysis based on data from 2014 and we found that there's about 32 adult cheetahs, so above the age of 18 months in the Mara.
I think Angie and I, one of the biggest things we've noticed is how much the habitat has opened up. Do you think that part of the reason why perhaps we're seeing less cheetahs is because of the opening up of the environment and making it more difficult to raise cubs?
Females who raise cubs in the more open areas, so like in the Mara Reserve and the Triangle, will generally raise like 1 to 2 cubs to independence if they're lucky.
Still, the numbers are worrying, especially in somewhere like the Mara, where there is so much food for cheetahs. Will cheetahs face extinction?
Losing one species is like losing one planet in the sky. Every single bit matters. The grasshoppers, the frogs, the birds that are there that I watch every day, let alone the bigger species of mammals. Losing one is a loss not only to the children of the Maasai people who live here, it's a loss to the world.
One of the benefits of the wildlife conservancies bordering the reserve, land owned by the Maasai and developed for wildlife tourism, is that it increases the extent of the protected areas available to cheetahs. Though conservancies help protect cheetahs from many dangers, their natural environment is still at risk from loss of habitat and their natural prey, as well as conflict with man.
Given that actually quite a lot of the thickets and thicker bush areas is outside the reserve, where perhaps there's less elephant impact, do you think then that we can definitely say that the Wildlife Conservancy model, which is expanding the area, protected area for predators and other wildlife, is that going to be absolutely vital for sustaining our cheetah population?
I think it depends on the habitat. I think some of the areas that the conservancies are expanding into are these more like thicker acacia woodlands, and I think those are really key habitats for cheetahs.
And in areas where potentially are going to be conflict areas, you're working with the local community to send people out, explain why perhaps, protecting the cheetahs is in their interest. But how do you do that?
I think a lot of people don't see cheetahs as a threat, not like lions. So I think in that case, it's a lot easier to work with people when you're talking about cheetahs than lions. But I think at the end of the day, especially in areas where it's not fenced and people, livestock and predators do interact with one another, you need to try and promote that human-wildlife coexistence and try and find a way that everyone can somehow live
Everyone
together.
can benefit,
Yeah.
definitely.
No, absolutely.
There is evidence that high densities of tourist vehicles are impacting negatively on cheetah cub survival, making it difficult for mother cheetahs to hunt. This can prompt a mother to move young cubs from a secure hiding place. However, the money from tourism does help to increase the amount of protected land and aids in conservation efforts. It's a question of finding the right balance.
I think it's really important to respect an animal and to keep your distance and not overcrowd, and especially any cheetah on a kill, but especially a female with cubs on a kill, to completely surround that kill is potentially very dangerous because they won't be able to see other predators coming in.
So what are the major threats to cheetahs now, and what can be done about them?
Well, one of the major threats globally is really habitat loss. And then in some areas, because I'm sure you know, cheetahs do get taken out of the wild for the illegal wildlife trade. We collect all this data, but it's also about communicating that and being able to put stories across. But I do think the protected areas are very important. I think this Mara Serengeti ecosystem, it's such a big space, and cheetahs need a lot of space. And I think that is really, really key. And there's not that many places in the world where, you've got such a big protected area.
There are only around 7,000 cheetahs left in Africa. Vast protected areas like the Mara Serengeti are hugely important to their survival. A place where cheetahs young and old can continue to journey on across the savannas.
The moment I'm on the field with the cheetahs and see that animals move, no animal, no bird can have that elegance and beauty and speed and power. Nothing.